I'm kind of shocked in a very pleasant way. They reduced the budget without really giving anything up. Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Grand Design today. A lot of people had a heart attack in the 2026 season because they had their eyes on and their hearts set on an Imagine AIM model, the single axle smallest member of the Imagine family here. And they noticed that all of the models were listed as dealer stock only, which means the manufacturer is not building them and only what's left at the dealers is available. Well, it's because they were basically relaunching the Imagine AIM series, which is what we're looking at here today. I don't think you're going to be necessarily upset with it because, like I said when this video started, they've reduced the budget on these without really giving anything up. But they made smart decisions here. Generally speaking, historically, Imagine did not like the idea of having wheel wells that kind of bump up into the floor of the RV. It complicates some RV designs and things. And they said, you know what? The fact is, we can actually make the RV have the same ground clearance if we go to, instead of an underslung axle, if we go to a traditional wheel well style, and we can reduce the cost of this thing dramatically because they're going to use a much less expensive and equally strong chassis. Those are the kind of decisions they made here. Now, this doesn't necessarily have the biggest fridge of some single axle campers out there, but some of the Imagine models, that's pretty much how they always did. We still have the 200 watt, solar package up on the roof to help offset power usage. They definitely did step down on the tires. They are not rocking those Goodyear Endurance radials on this, so keep that little factoid in mind right there. But still double propane tanks, 8 foot wide, full power air conditioner, lots of counter space in this floor plan as well. This is a small but mighty model. There's two things I think people are not going to like about it. I don't think they're going to like the fact that it's a single axle, because some people that's a deal breaker, and that it's that shoved all the way up in the corner bed instead of a walk-around bed. And if you don't like those things, they make longer, larger, more expensive tandem axle Imagines for you. But if the budget or the towing of those is not in the cards, take a look. Now, as is the case with pretty much any camper, there's things this thing does well, and there's things it does not. But the things that it does well are things most single axles just can't. It has a really good kitchen for an RV this size, and it has so much comfortable open space that you just don't normally get in a single axle. Now, that's because it's not extra short inside. It's not extra tall. It's a conventional 6.5 foot tall. But it's a full 8 foot wide and has a shallow slide, about an 18-inch deep slide or something like that. But it still has all these smart little touches. Like, it's not massive, but just a little spot for a wastebasket there. And look at its location right next to the door. So that if you want to, you can just open the door and toss stuff in and not have to have garbage outside so that Mr. Raccoon can throw it all over your campsite. And if you don't like it there, it like goes away. If you look at that, it's actually a folding hinge bracket that holds that trash can in place. You can just not have it there and not have to like take a screwdriver and leave scars in your RV. Just simple. Now, being a small, basic, primarily one cabin camper, it's not central air and central heat. It's just direct forced air furnace down below and a full size roof air here. Now, this will keep the camper pretty comfy in an RV this size, but you're going to hear it. A non-ducted air like this, even a Coleman mock unit, you're going to hear it. You're going to know that sucker's running. Absolutely. It's not massive, but it's so funny because there was a day where if you would have had a TV like this in an RV, whoa. I remember when Jayco Eagle, expensive travel trailers, optioned a 22-inch RCA, quote, flat screen. Woo, baby, that was high-class living, If you look, you can kind of see through the cabinetry, but not directly. If somebody happens to come over, and don't get me wrong, I don't think this is the kind of camper where you're going to sit inside entertaining guests all day. But if someone does, could they sort of see in your cabinetry? Yeah, but they don't like it, tell them to shove off. Go get their own trailer. Actually, have them call Bish's RV. We'll do that. This right here is probably, though, one of the major pain points of this camper is this shoved up in the corner little bed. it's just not going to work for some people. I get it. You're going to say this RV would be better if it had 2 axles, if it was a little longer and had a north-south bed. I get it. That's basically what the 17 MKE Imagine is. But it's heavier, longer, more expensive, and that doesn't work for everybody, you know? And I think a lot of people are going to be afraid that they went cheap on this updated Imagine series. Like, we still have the nicer blackout shades. They still have plenty of lighting in these things overall. There are some areas that, yeah, they did scale back a little bit, but they're areas that you could argue maybe a lot of people camping like this didn't necessarily need. All that being said, let's see what kind of storage we got here. The short answer is way better than I thought we were going to get when I saw the updated specs on this thing. Um, I almost would have expected them to leave that totally open, but they fully door enclosed it, and they even threw the shelving in there to really maximize the storage. They still maintained all the same cabinet construction and cabinet hardware styles with, like, as I call them, the anti-gravity doors. That's nerdism number 37. I seem to have really developed an affinity for that one for some reason. This over here, though, again, it's a shoved up in the corner bed. They still gave us, like, at least that one kind of pocket there to charge phones. Now, this I think is interesting because you have obviously a closet space, but there's almost like a little pocket included in that closet door, sort of acting like a drawer, you know? I almost wonder, if this were my RV, if I wouldn't remove that cabinet door and just use that like an open face shoe garage. But at the same time, I don't know that I dislike it being fully enclosed either. Now, working our way around here, one thing I do want to mention real quick is this does not have a propane oven. And I know for some people that's a major point of concern. Instead, they gave us a lot of drawer space. What they didn't give us is a small utensil drawer, but you know what? I can go to any big box store and get a plastic silverware utensil organizer that I can take outside and use on a picnic table. So that doesn't bother me. The north-south two-burner stovetop frees up a lot of counter space. Down below, we have a 3-in-1 air fryer, convection, electric, microwave, oven wombo combo, effectively. Wombo combo being another one of those phrases. I don't know why. I've just attached myself to it. Now, to help you understand how this cabinet kind of wraps around the corner, I took their little propaganda poster. If we're being real, that's what that is. Shoved it back in there so you could get an idea sort of the depth. Nice little details here. A lot of brands have become a lot better about this, but just a spot for paper towels. Doesn't have to be flashy, doesn't have to be fancy, just has to work. I like that they went with the single square sink. I was surprised they still maintained the sprayer faucet and the sink cover, because again, one of the points of the redevelopment of the Imagine Ames series that we're looking at here was to bring the pricing more in line with current market trends. And a lot of times manufacturers just go on a headhunt to start deleting features everywhere they can. And for the most part, with very few exceptions, I don't see where a lot of that took place. Now, their sleeper sofa is a little bit different. It's not a jackknife, it's actually a rollover, where the back rolls over the top. Never guess where they got that name. But you see, you got that little drop down support leg right there. Make sure you use that. Otherwise, if you just lay on the end of that or sit on it, you're going to bust it. And now, again, one of the major differences here structurally is the wheel well actually bumps up into the body of the RV, because this is the bottom of the slide. So that's why you can't like throw a theater seat or something like, could I swap that out for a dinette? No, your legs have nowhere to go. But above that, they had a little pocket. So they kind of just said, what if that's a shoe garage or a dog bowl station or something? You know, they just made it at least accessible. And that's another thing I'm noticing on this. I don't see like wasted opportunities, really. I mean, there's little tweaks. Someone say, well, they could have done this, they could have done that. Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. But for the most part, they really did what they could anywhere they could. And I think Imagine has always been a brand that understood how useful and valuable storage is, and frankly, how inexpensive it is for a manufacturer. Big counter space in a small camper like this. Throw my hand down here for a size reference, like big counter space in this thing. No real like bathroom drawers though, just kind of these open pockets. I don't love that. I'm sure I could throw a net funicello in there and figure something out. You either get that reference or you don't. I don't know. I'm getting old. Plastic stool, but plenty of room around it. Overall, I wasn't too upset with that. Um, Working our way around here, it does have one of those sliding kind of Nautilus style doors, but it is a conventional 6.5 foot ceiling height. So if you're a little over 6 foot like me, you get in that shower, yeah, your head's going to be up in the skylight. There's just no two ways about it. The thing is, I already know the answer I'm going to get in the comment section. I'm going to ask the question, does it even need a slide? Because I'm not sure it does. Because when you close the slide, it's not like it got much smaller in here. There's just a big part of me that wonders, do we not need it? But that being said, man, when you are in there, it really is big and open. And some people will say, what's the point of the slide in this camper then? Some people just really want that nice, comfortable, open space. They don't want to do the sideways travel trailer two-step, or they want more floor space for the dog. Those are the kind of benefits it provide. But the fact is, open or closed, this thing gets the job done on the road or at the campsite. Oh, by the way, before I forget, you're like, where's my power outlets? I don't know why you sound like Mayberry RFD, but there you go. They're under the overhead cabinets. You have one, obviously, over here, then one you probably can't see just past that vent hood. So you do have a couple. I don't love their location, but I get it. Now, we have about a 4,800 pound maximum gross vehicle weight. The empty base weight of the camper still fairly hefty for a single axle though. I think just under 4,000 pounds if I'm not mistaken, meaning this RV does have less than 1,000 pounds of available cargo capacity. I definitely want to, for park pavement princesses like me, that's not a problem at all. For boondock people that want to put water in tanks, that's a major potential problem and area to think about. Those are the extra details I want to give you in my videos. The stuff that you can't necessarily see, or if you've never camped before, you never thought about. I don't want you to overload your axles and end up with a flat tire, broken axle hanger, whatever. I am surprised they maintained, it's a basic but enclosed docking center, enclosed underbelly, included the picnic tables, still using the Norco chassis, not your traditional like Lippert I-beam frame. Again, one of the major cost differences in this compared to last year is just that they changed the chassis up, and now you see that wheel well, how it bumps up into the body of the RV. Generally, most of your single axle Imagines did not do that last year. That's why for the most part the model numbers like 16 ML, you remember that. This is just the 16 MLA AIM. This is revision 2, I guess is the best way I can say it. Still has the lighting under the awning, still has 4-corner stabilizer jacks. When you start getting into single axle stuff, some of them, man, you don't even get front jacks and that thing jiggles a lot. In front of the rear stabilizer, you might notice a little thing dangling down. That is actually a propane quick connect. Now, I feel like, did these used to have a class 3 hitch? It does. It's a class 2 hitch now. So it's a 1-inch receiver instead of a 2-inch receiver on the back of this. Essentially, it's a light duty bike rack. It's not made for anything more heavy than that. But I love the fact that they maintained a ladder on the back of this. They could have really gone cutthroat and gotten rid of that. They didn't, They could have gone to a less expensive slide system. They didn't. They went with the slim rack system here, which if that's retracted, you could probably still sit in the sofa, especially because it's such a short model. The trailer's not level. The nose is pointing up toward the sky right now, so the sewer connections look arbitrarily low to the ground. Normally, you'd have a little more clearance than that. They could have not included the sewer hose tube. Those are just all the things that they're like, no, that's what we do. That's what Imagine does, and they weren't willing to sacrifice on that. The 200-watt factory solar package, it's a battery tender. That's basically what that is. Now, I have had some people say, man, that kept my fridge running off-grid all weekend. And I've had a lot of people say, no way, Jose. So before you go spending mega lithium money, what I would do is I would put it through a backyard stress test with your local weather patterns and see how it performs for you, and then upgrade as you need to. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As I tend to do, I'll drop you links in the description to check on pricing and availability. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think Transcend, J-Light, J-Feather for sure, make floor plans like this. So you have a couple different options. I'll try to drop you some links to those as well so you can cross-compare right from the comfort of your couch. And short of that, we'll see you next time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.